Alright, so we're going to take a look at the Bontrager Line Elite composite pedals. So plastic pedals, nice and light. They seem to spin flawlessly, so haven't had any issues or odd feeling with the bearings, which is good. I'm pretty sure they're fairly new. So these just came on this Trek Fuel EX 9.8, which I'm demoing at the moment, and they've been really good. They highly impressed me. So on my first ride and my initial impressions video of this bike, I mentioned that these are the best flat pedals I've ever used. I did say that I felt they were a little bit narrow, but after spending some time on them, I don't think they're too narrow at all. I think they're fine for width. They could go a little bit wider, but if you had a bigger foot, you'd like a size 12 or a 14, like going into the 46 to 50 size shoes, you'd probably want them a little bit wider. But I don't know, maybe. But for me, size 44, 10.5, they feel great. They're just long enough to not kind of flip underneath you. I wouldn't mind seeing them a little bit longer. I wouldn't mind seeing all pedals a little bit longer. Not necessarily wider. I think the wider you go, the more you start clipping it on, or you increase your chances of clipping it on the edges of trails, and when you're riding off camber stuff or hitting a root to the left or to the right of your line or a stump. So the narrower the better, within reason, obviously. So reiterating on what I said before about them being the best, initially I thought they were the best I'd ever used. Now, after spending time on them, they're definitely the best I've used. I really like the Pedaling Innovations Catalyst pedals. Long, grippy, secure, but these are better. These hook up better. They're $90. Never ever had my foot move. Never had to rearrange it because it slipped forward pedaling up a sketchy rocky section or anything like that. They are glued. Your feet are glued to this thing. Now I run the 510 Impact, standard Impact, not the Impact Pro. I run them both, but the standard Impact is my go-to. It's the most grippy shoe. And these pins will destroy your shoe eventually, but the grip's unreal. The grip's phenomenal. The pins are similar to the race face pins, except these are threaded, so they're narrow. The race face pins are narrow, but they're six-sided. Now the narrow pin definitely gets in and does a really, really good job of retaining your foot position. These pins here, being that they're threaded, I believe that's what does the damage to your shoes. The thread, it just makes them more aggressive. But these are so good, and I love them. I really love them. I'm actually going to buy a pair. So $90, can't go wrong. Longevity, I have no idea. Not sure about the longevity. Not sure about durability. From the rides that I've done a heap of laps on these. They didn't feel like they got dinged or anything. I don't think I hit anything with them, so can't really speak to durability. But grip, man, that's all I want. All I want is grip and a good feel. Plastic pedals, so the race face Chester, I feel they're a little bit narrow. The one-up composite pedals, I don't like how the center rises up, so it feels like there's a spot, like a pressure point underneath your foot, and it's right on the ball of your foot, where your ball should be sinking into the pedal. It's pushing it out, which is it kind of takes away from the grip at the front and the back of the pedal. It's pushing your foot back up, and you almost got to curl your foot around the pedal, which I really don't like. So the one-up composites, I'm not a big fan of. They are good. They're good, not great. So not huge on that, but I have to say it, these are the best pedals I've ever used. Comparing them to my nuke-proof Horizons, so nuke-proof make them in the metal and the plastic, and if the nuke-proofs had these pins, these narrower threaded pins, they'd probably be the same story. They'd be as good as it gets. But just having a slightly narrower pin is, I think that's all. I think that's the real difference. These are slightly concave, ever so slightly concave, so they got little rise at the front and back, and then the center's ever so slightly dropped in, and it feels super comfortable. The big long climb up to Lofty that I've been doing a couple of times this week, no worries, no flat spot, no hot spot underneath your foot. yeah, there's not much you can say about pedals. Durability, like I said, can't speak to durability. Feel is phenomenal, grip's phenomenal, security's phenomenal, and they will destroy your shins or your calves if you do come off of them. So I was going to say I'd give them a 10 out of 10, but nah, I'll give them an 8 out of 10 because I don't know anything about the durability, for starters, and I think they could go just a little bit longer and a little bit wider, maybe. But they're hard to fault. Honestly, they're really hard to fault. So if you're in the market for some new pedals, get into your local Trek dealer, or I'm assuming you can get them online as well. But suss them out. They are literally the best flat pedals I've ever used. They're not overly thick. Yeah, they're pretty standard thickness. They're 110 mil from the crank arm out to the outside of the pedal there. 42 millimeters, or I think it's about 42.5 millimeters from the center of that axle to the back pin. So adequately long, adequately wide. They could be a little longer and probably a little bit wider if you had a big foot. But man, they're killer. So yeah, Bontrager pedals, hit them out the park. Well done.